wine connoisseur, or is a bottle of baby duck a staple in your cellar? Writer and wine expert Natalie McLean is here with some of the best selections for spring. Thanks very much for coming in.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You've brought a number of bottles. They've been admired by a few people in the studio this morning.
We're going to get started early today.
That's good. It is afternoon, so we're okay.
That's right.
Are wines really for seasons or for foods? Do you match them for seasons, really? Or?
I think you can go both ways. I think that in the summer we like to have some light, refreshing white wines. They're colder for the summer heat. They go well with shellfish, that sort of thing that we tend to eat in the summer. But also, you know, barbecue steaks cry out for a full-bodied, red-blooded wine. So you can get into the Shirazes and the Merlots and the Cabernets equally. So it really depends on what you feel like, what your mood is, what you're eating.
And why don't we start with the tasting?
Oh, sure.
What are some of the best wines for spring, do you think?
Okay. Well, I've brought a German Riesling, and I think these wines are among some of the best values on the market because, well, unfortunately, few people can read the labels, so they're difficult sometimes to decipher, but they're gorgeous, zippy white wines, got a lot of good acidity, which is going to cleanse your palate. And why don't we, excuse me for a sec here, we'll start with this glass here.
Okay.
Which is actually ideal for a lot of white wines. And I'm going to show you a glass that's pretty much not ideal for any wine. This one, and not just because it's small.
That would have been my first guess.
Yeah, exactly, top me up again. The difference between these two, you'll notice that this glass here sort of curves in, and so it's going to concentrate the aromas for you. And a lot of, well, let's not hold ourselves up here, cheers.
Cheers.
A lot of wine is in the aroma, so if you're smelling it, you're going to get a lot of the fruit and that sort of thing that's in it, whereas this is going to let the aroma go all over the place.
Okay, so you can save those for something else.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Dress up beer or something. Well, they're really going to think I'm a wine snob if I say that. So in terms of tasting, there's 5 quick steps that you can do. You can look at the color. Is it clear? There's no floaty bits in your wine. That's never a good sign. You can swirl it. And if you're kind of nervous about that, if you're wearing white or whatever you got on the go, you can just put it on the counter and do that. That's sort of like swirling with training wheels.
And then you really know what you'll look like you really know what you're doing if you do that, right?
It's all for show, of course. No, actually it's not. There's a practical aspect to this in that you're releasing all of those aromas. So we take a good smell, and you put your nose right in there, and do the first time I started smelling wine, all I thought is, this just smells like wine. But the more you smell, the more you try it, the more you get the fruit and that sort of thing. And even if you don't, I mean, certainly you'll get a lot too on the palate. So let's have a drink. Like it?
I do.
You do?
I like it a lot, actually.
Great.
I'm more of a fan of red wines, but this one is very smooth.
It is.
Kind of creamy.
Yeah.
Excellent. Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about?
Good. You're an honorary wine snob.
I don't know about that.
But what you're getting perhaps here is a lot of like almost ripe pears and peaches. But at the same time, if you've noticed, there's something going on along here. Your mouth is watering, and that means it's a good food wine. So it's going to be great with anything that, pretty much anything that you would serve in the summer.
Well, we're going to talk a lot more about wines, and we're going to take your calls. If you have a question about wines that you always wanted to ask but never had the chance, we're going to break for Valley Notes and some messages. And when we return, you get to ask the questions of Natalie McLean. The number to call, 750-1211. We'll be right back. We're back with the writer and wine expert Natalie McLean. She's going to answer your questions now. The number to call, 750-1211. All of our lines are full, but when the first caller is finished, that's your cue to call, and we ask you to be brief so we can get as many people in as possible. We've got Glenn right now on the line. Glenn, you've got a question for us?
Hi, Natalie.
Hi.
Yeah. People are experimenting more and more with wines these days and do not always follow the traditional norms. My question is, which red wines do you recommend to have with fish and fowl?
Ah, that's a question I like.
Yeah, good one for summer too. I like a nice round, soft, supple Pinot Noir because I think that it's a red wine that actually goes well with salmon, which is a rather flavorful, full-bodied fish itself. And actually, one of the wines that I brought today from Niagara is from Cave Spring, and it's a Pinot Noir. This would be lovely because it has like ripe fruit, lots of plums and dark fruit that is going to go very well with the salmon. Or you could try the Riesling that we were tasting earlier, because that's going to go well with fish as well.
And it seemed to have a fuller body than some of the whites, which tend to be fruitier. Is that?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got another caller, Natalie, actually. There's three of us now. It's going to get very confusing. Yes. Natalie, have you got a question for Natalie?
When you open the bottle of wine, on occasions some of the cork goes down into the wine.
Right.
How do you get that out without serving it?
Well, sometimes I pour my own glass first because of that. And often the cork will come out first in your first glass if you can get it out. But I've had that problem many times. You could also just pour everybody's glass and see where it comes out. I don't really have a very expert answer for this. Get out a sieve. I don't know.
That's why they're switching to those plastic corks, I bet, right?
Yeah, exactly. Plastic corks and screw caps, which will save us from many of these troubles. But yeah, I just suggest if you can, while you're in the kitchen, pour everybody's glass of wine, and then you'll see where it lands and take it out.
There's